And we are back from the bye week. It is Panther Talk. It is a 4-game season. Panthers tied for first place in the NFC South with the Tampa Bay Bucks. 2 games against the Bucks before we get there. A trip to New Orleans this weekend for a rematch with the Saints. Anish Shroff, Szoke, Eugene Robinson, Dave Canales. Coach, you looked refreshed, relaxed. You had the bye week. We were talking about this off air. Are you able to turn it off? Are you able to turn football off when you have a little bit of downtime?
Not when there's football on. And this was a great week of football. You got your Thursday night games. There were some college games Friday, of course, Saturday. And, anytime there's football on, there's just so much to learn. There's opportunities. There's fourth down, go for it situations. There's end of half, end of game, things coming up. And I'm sure, my wife Lizzie is sick of me saying, okay, check this out here. 29 seconds. We got 1 timeout, right? We got a chance. We got a ways to go, though. We got to have a chunk play right here, call a timeout immediately. So she's just like, they got to get used to that part. But I think besides that, if we're not sitting in the house with the game on or something, I got 4 kids and somebody's doing something. And so we're always, it's all hands on deck for my wife and I to get people places and really just find that chance to connect.
But how are the announcers as well? How are the announcers? you have to grade the game. But you have to grade the announcers too.
Oh, fantastic.
Okay, good announcer.
What it amazes me, you don't turn it off at all, and so you're always thinking like a coach every single moment.
Really, just if there's a game on, and if there's not a football game on, then there's just too many great opportunities at this point to just spend time with family. And while I know it's important physically, first of all, just because you don't sleep a lot, we're all here working and pushing, to help our team, but. I think it's also just important to spend that quality time with family, and that fills your cup up in a different way. And, we come back to work, today, and with all this excitement, and the guys are fired up to be back on the grass, and the coaches are excited as we dive into this game plan for the Saints and this rematch that we have right in front of us. And, so it really just grips us when we get back in, but everyone comes back in here with a little bit more in the tank, especially right now for the finish.
What can you tell us? I know Wednesday's a bigger day for these announcements, but as we sit here Monday, what can you share as far as the health of your team and some of the guys?
Yeah, we're optimistic that this is going to be about as healthy as we've been all year, outside of, of course, Robert Hunt, who's still, getting stronger and better weekly, and David Moore, who's got a chance to come back to us at some point. But in general, we're pretty optimistic. Of course, we have to go through the concussion protocol with Claude, with JC and all that, but we feel like we're going to have as strong of a group as we've had to go out there and play this Sunday.
You told us before the bye there would be time spent on self-scouting. What does that entail?
Yeah, just, especially while it's fresh in your mind, you take the games. And for us right now at this point, it's really more like the last 4 weeks. And we've done a good job as a staff of doing quarterly check-ins. And, some of the Mondays where we kicked the players out of the building was really an opportunity to press into our schemes, press into the fundamentals and techniques, and the players, who's helping us or who might possibly be able to contribute to what we're doing right now. And so, we started that off, right after the Rams game and really looking at what we've done the last 4 weeks and when are we most successful, offense, defense, and special teams. What are the schemes that are working for us as we continue to try to refine it and try to find our best football? So that's what a lot of those conversations were like.
When it comes to tendencies, what's the fine line between, we don't want to give away too much when we're in this, teams know that we're doing this, versus, hey, when we use this personnel group or this formation, it works, we're successful, why change? Like when you self-scout, what's the balance there?
Yeah, the most important part is just awareness of the tendencies. And Pete taught me this, Coach Carroll taught me this. He said, tendencies are fine as long as you know you have them. And there's going to be different situations where you're going to be 70+% run in this situation, but then you try to cash in on those opportunities to throw a play action pass or to do something like that because you're aware of that. The other team is aware of it, and they're gonna try to do things to offset and mitigate what you're doing. And so it's just the awareness of it. When we're in these personnels, this is what our percentage is, so we have to protect it with things that look like this. And then it does offer opportunities to say if you have something outside of the norm, they're not necessarily going to be preparing for that. So again, just going back to it's just important that we have those conversations. Eric Eager does a great job with our analytics department. And we have a meeting every Monday to look at, okay, what did we do in this past game? What have we looked like in the last couple of games? What might be some good things to kind of offset or protect things that we're doing? Just having that awareness.
How much does knowing this opponent, the fact that you've already faced them, how much does that factor in? And how much film do you watch? Do you go back to year 1, 2, 3? Where do you draw the line at as you prepare for this opponent?
Yeah, we have a couple of games that are just fresh, so we'll start with those. But then we have to look at the original game plan before we play them the first time to say, okay, what didn't we get to that we still feel good about? Because there'll be some natural carryover that way. And then, of course, just knowing an opponent, it's good, but they also know you. And as you go into it, and I watch this team just continue to get better and better. I'm talking about the Saints and the way that they're playing football together, and this defense, who has really been strong for most of the year. And now I'm seeing an offense that has an identity and that's finding a way to attack in different ways. So this is a team playing their best football. This is exactly the type of challenge that we need right now. Couldn't sell championship opportunity more than what this is right here. A division opponent, a team that played us really well. Let's go to heighten that focus and to make the guys understand all these games are championship opportunities. So here's the first one we have.
It's important to have that time off, as you mentioned. As a coach, a lot of times coaches say when the team's up, you kind of got to bring them down, and when you're down, you got to bring them up. Coming off having some downtime, that championship talk, how much do you have to get in their heads collectively early on this week that, hey, let's be fired up, let's be at 100% for this game?
That's been our language since we started the season, and we try to heighten every game that way. And this is a group. The Panthers are a group that's learning what that looks like on a consistent basis. We have not been consistent, and that's out there for us. That's where we talk about finding our best football. That has to be our goal. Our goal is to make sure that we're playing our best fundamentally. We understand our concepts and that we're pushing our concepts forward to add variety, to add things that protect it in different ways, whether that's on defense and different pressure looks, coverage looks, or offensively with our different run styles, the actions that come off of that, and of course on special teams, just the patterns in which we cover, the way that we return kicks, all those things. Everything should be we should be going further up and further into what we're doing to try to refine that process. And it's great though, Jim, to your point, these games, I don't have to oversell it. This is a championship opportunity in the division for where we're standing right now.
When you see some of the leaders on the team, guys who've been through it, Derek Brown, JC, Chuba, who've been through the tough times and they have this opportunity in front of them, has there been anything that those guys have said to the rest of the locker room or anything that you've talked to them about this stretch run that you'd like to share?
What I've really just noticed about this group and what I'm proud of is the standards that they hold for each other on a daily basis. And this is something that I've watched them grasp and really take control of as we've set this foundation as a coaching staff. It becomes powerful when the players are asking for more from each other, whether it's film study, attention in the classroom, how we practice, the type of energy we show up with when we hit the grass, because that's all those things are championship habits that lead to success on Sundays. And they're the ones that are championing this cause right now. And so I just continue to encourage the group, let's find more. And I told them, as a group, I said, as long as I'm your coach, I'm always going to ask for more. And there's more detail, there's more focus. You can find it, but it's our job to all work together to find that.
Coach, you mentioned the word balance a lot as we've been talking, and I wonder, what do you say also to your coaching staff about balance and what that looks like as they go ahead and disseminate the information they're going to be doing?
Yeah, it's you can't teach everything all the time, so it's about making sure that what you need to get across you focus on, and that attention to detail, the focus of it in the right areas, understanding who the opponent is first and foremost is huge. But it's also about the fundamentals and the basics. The teams that block, throw, catch, tackle, and take care of the ball are the ones that have success at this point in the year. And we have to make sure that as a coaching staff that we're continuing to push our groups to find that edge and not lose the edge, to see good technique and say, okay, you got to stay right here. Now let's look at this thing and try to improve it.
Just for this week, a little bit of a competitive advantage in that they had to focus on Tampa Bay up until yesterday, that while you guys had time away, you were able to kind of also work in, as a coaching staff, having some idea about working on New Orleans a little bit further out.
Absolutely. Any edge that we can get, everything that we can use is a competitive opportunity for us to try to take that information, to try to lean on the things that we learned from the first time we played them and that loss, to learn from those lessons and then also see what they've been doing lately so that we can have our minds ready, and having a bonus Monday to be able to throw some of those ideas out there and see what it looks like on the field while getting our guys' bodies back moving, their minds into football, and all that is a huge thing for us.
Coach, there's been some young players on this team that have flashed, and now you're at the stage of the season where you probably don't consider them rookies anymore. But in particular, Tetero McMillan on offense, Nick Scorton on defense. Can you speak to how they have come along through the first 13 games?
Yeah, the maturity of the guys starting off as rookies, but to be able to press into the details of the position has been what stood out for me. Consistency, professionalism, those are the types of things that I think about when you're talking about Nick and T-Mac. Being able to show back up with each week with new challenges, new adjustments to things, to take it into stride while also just continuing to improve fundamentally and find the growth that they need. It was great to be on the field today to just see, like, we're a pretty young football team.
Yeah.
And if anytime you give a young football team a week to regroup, they were pretty bouncy out there, and they're excited to be back to work and to get back at it.
Coach, turnovers has been a big thing for this defense, and particularly the last couple of weeks. How much are they talking about that amongst themselves, going like this, we got to go ahead and get the ball back?
Yeah, it's growing, and it really starts off by just being in great position and taking all the information that you can in pre-snap. And that's where it starts, and that's where we've seen Mike Jack really, have two pretty incredible games back-to-back on plays on the ball. And JC, of course, in San Fran making some plays for us. But it's all connected, and it's just that a little moment of indecision because you're in the right spot. And knowing this formation, they really run two plays out of this formation, and just having all that information, it comes from the work on the front end of it, and a group that's really communicating well, and a rush group who doesn't get a lot of praise, but they're pushing the pocket, and they came up with a huge sack fumble at the end of last game, and just continuing to work together on their rush combos and stunts. That all takes time and chemistry, and these guys have been working really hard on that, and so we're seeing the fruits of it.
Last thing, you saw Tyler Szoke in his second start. You've seen, obviously, film since then. What are you seeing out of a young quarterback that's been handed the starting job in the last month or so?
He's doing a great job of operating, getting them up to the line. They have a pretty balanced attack, and then he's affecting the game with his legs as well. And, the little bit of work that I was able to do on him coming out, loved the athletic profile. I didn't know he was this good running the ball, and he's really made an impact with, some of their zone read design QB run types of things, but also just in the pass game, breaking the pocket to find wins. And so he's really doing a great job there. Coach Moore and that crew is doing an excellent job just putting him in position to be successful.
Most wonderful time of the year. A lot to be thankful for, a lot to be happy about. 4 games left to go. Everything in front of the Carolina Panthers. Dave Canales, Carolina Panthers head coach. You're listening to the Carolina Panthers Radio Network.